The Class 67 from Hornby has been a popular model for a number of years, with its strong performance and variety of liveries. I've recently acquired this DB Schenker liveried version at a good price, so it's time to take a closer look. Thanks for joining today's review. We'll kick off with a short unboxing, followed by a close-up view. We'll then get into the running session before going through our summary, scoring and final recommendation. Okay, let's get underway. Hi, so welcome to the unboxing of this Class 67 from Hornby. Now I've had a couple of 67s from Hornby over the years. I've done a review of one of them already, a couple of them actually. I was interested in this one as a more contemporary livery and the DB Schenker livery, so I was keen to take a look at it, and so we'll go through this and we'll check it out. Let's get her out of the box pretty quickly. So I do like the Class 67s from Hornby. I think it's one of them. They do a good job of their 67s. Now there is one issue I think I'll call out right now when I see a little bit of crumpling on the packaging, and I did have first-hand experience of a punch through and some damage to the front of one of these locomotives. It is lacking support here, so if you had a DAPL locomotive, for example, you would have extra support at the front and the end, and for a locomotive of this sort of weight, and the weight is good, it's great, it gives it good drive performance, good running performance, but it does mean you need that extra protection, so, and it is missing, so we'll note that in the scoring later on. So it is a heavy locomotive, take it out of the box here, and it is heavy, and as I said, I've no complaints on that regard, and they do perform well. So a couple of things I think I'll call out here first. If it's the first Class 67 that you've looked at, well, you know, I'll talk about a few of the things. It does have nice metal sprung buffers. It does have directional lighting, which is good. It can accommodate a speaker in this bottom end here, in the tank area here, the fuel tank, and you can just remove that. It's got a dip switch here for night and day running. It's got all-wheel drive, which is good, really good, and there's no traction tires to be seen, of course. And generally a good performer, a good solid performer. I guess in regards to this model versus the other models is the livery, I guess, and the DB Schenker livery. I've seen some photographs of this which I guess are kind of show up as an overly red type livery, and I think the actual colouring is okay. I think it's fine in the actual model as I see it here in my hand. So I think it's actually better than the photographs I've seen of it. Photographs were probably a little bit off-putting actually, and I was kind of reticent, I guess, to see what it would look like in reality, but it does look good, and I do think the red on this is fine, so no issue there. Some good, nice detail you do get on the 67s. You can see through the grating there, and you can see the detail behind that. And there's nice grating on the roof there as well. And you've got the chimney there at the front. And again, you've got it over here. You've got the see-through grille there, and some nice underbody detail as well. So overall, these are a nice locomotive. Again, you know, it's a heavy locomotive. We'll say we'll do the normal weigh in, and typically a good performing locomotive. So I am going to put a TTS module, the Hornby TTS module, into this for the purposes of the running session. Again, it comes DCC ready, 8-pin DCC ready, but you know, it's nice to have a bit of sound during the running session, so we'll run it with that. I'll do a bit of running in under DC beforehand, and then we'll pop in the decoder and we'll use that for the running session. Okay, I think the next thing is to get some close-ups of this, and then we'll put her on the track. Just for a go, I guess, it does come with a detailing kit, and I will put this kind of an air dam in there, kind of a skirt, and I will be putting that on. And it's got some alternative couplers and some pipe work as well, so that's pretty useful. But I'll be putting on one of these skirts on the front for the running session. Okay, let's get to the next part of the review. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to get into a side-on view of the model. So the first part we see there is the very detailed side grille, which is a characteristic of the Class 67s from Hornby, and a nice grille on the top as well. And you can see through the detail that's actually within the body of the locomotive there. The underbody is relatively straightforward. There's a metal tank there that's actually a metal piece, which adds to the weight of the model. Some reasonable roof detail. It's molded parts primarily, and then the chimney piece added in there. And you see some additional tanks underneath there. Again, reasonable levels of detail, not fantastic levels of detail. This isn't a Class 68, for example, in terms of detail. And again, reasonable levels of bogie detail there. The handrails, the painted handrails, warning stickers, and then the glazing at the front and the front wipers. And then we'll get a 360 view now in a minute. And you've got the metal sprung buffers there at the front as well. So this is the 360 view. I think this view is actually a more accurate rendition of the real life colour of the model when you actually see it in real life. I think the photograph view we've just been through shows the livery as a little bit too bright, and that's typically what you see in the photographs. This video view of it, actually the colour balance is better, and this is a more accurate rendition, I would say, of the colour. So it is a nice livery, and a nice rendition of the DB Schenker logo there on the side of the livery, and it's a kind of a complex livery at the side there, so that's actually rendered very well. And again, you get a good view of the front there, the dual wipers, level of detail. There's lighting, obviously directional lighting on this model, and I think you get overall it's a decent level of detail. It's not kind of ultra detailed model. I think it's certainly adequate. I think the livery is a nice rendition, and I think there's sufficient detail here for most modelers. Okay, now let's get into the running session. So we'll be starting up here pretty quickly. We're running with the Hornby TTS sound module installed, which is pretty good. It is probably one of the better diesel TTS sound modules that are available. We've got a rake of Pullman coaches, bookended by Mark 1 full brakes. So it's a smallish overall rake, but it's just really meant to be more representative than anything else. I think the first thing to note about the running performance on the Class 67, and it's common to all of them, is they are very good runners and they have very good low speed. And I think that all comes down to the weight and the dual bogie drive capability and all-wheel pickup obviously as well. So these certainly are probably among the best performing locomotives, diesel locomotives that Hornby have, I would say. And they certainly rank pretty close to any other models out there. So they really are nice performers, and they're nice to run with, and they do run on radius 2 very well as well. So that could be handy for people who have maybe got smaller layouts, and you're looking for something that will run well on a radius 2 layout. And I think the four-wheel bogie configuration, the Bobo type configuration, tends to work better on the lower radius curves. So in general, the performance is very good. As we pick up the speed here, I think the main gap, and it's why it isn't a 10 out of 10 performance, is that the scale speed on this tops out at 107 miles per hour versus a maximum design speed for the Class 67 of 125 miles per hour. So when you do run this up at 100% power on your layout, now I was running with the Hornby Railmaster software. Now maybe if you were to run it under DC only, I don't have a radius 3 DC circuit, so I wouldn't run a locomotive that fast except on a radius 3 or radius 4 curve. So I wasn't able to test the maximum speed on DC, but on DCC it does not achieve the prototypical maximum speed, and hence I do have to dock a point for that. But apart from that, the running performance is very good, and some people commented it maybe about a little bit of that it wasn't quite as so smooth in take-up speed, and that's really my CV setting for the acceleration probably just wasn't low enough, and you can run this at a real crawl. So this locomotive is very, very good. It is a very good runner, and it's just the top speed is the only thing that stops it from being a 10 out of 10 on the running side. Okay, so now we're getting into the summary. So we've been looking at the Hornby R3574 Class 67. which is locomotive 67013 in the DB Schenker livery. It comes with a 5-pole screw-on motor with all-wheel pickup and dual bogie drive, and this is common to all of the Class 67s from Hornby. Minimum radius 2 curves, and it does run well on radius 2. 8-pin DCC ready, and I have installed the optional 8105 TTS decoder for the purposes of a running session, but that's optional. It comes as a ready locomotive. Extra features are the directional lighting, which also includes a headlight under both DCC and DC, and it's got a switch for day-night running. It has detailed side grills with interior detail to go along with those, detailing kit and metal sprung buffers. Unboxed weight is a very heavy 636 grams, so this ranks in the heavyweight class of locomotive. Top scale speed, this with the maximum setting on CV5 of 107 miles per hour, pulling 230 milliamps. And at 50% power, it's 54 miles per hour, 150 milliamps. I think in general, the linearity of power versus speed on this is very good. It's probably nearly the best I've seen on any locomotive, so that is very positive. It isn't achieving the full prototypical design speed for the Class 67, however, which is 125 miles per hour. So unfortunately, we weren't able to achieve that under the running conditions here. The retail selling price typically varies between anything from $99.99 to the RRP of $176.99. And in the main, it'll fall into the 140, 150 bracket. But there is an offer right now for $99.99, which I think is a really fantastic value for this locomotive, and I will put the details in the description for that. So on the scoring front, the running performance is very, very good, and it's a 9 out of 10, and it would be a 10 out of 10 if it could achieve the prototypical maximum speed. I think this is really a good locomotive from a running performance perspective. The appearance and detail is 8 out of 10. I don't have any particular problem with it. It is probably got an adequate level of detail, I'll put it that way. It's not super detailed, and hence it's only an 8. There's other equivalent locomotives which would have greater levels of detail for a similar price range, but I think 8 out of 10 is still a very good score, and this livery is rendered well on this model. The sound optional, I have rated that as a 7 out of 10, which for a TTS sound module is a very good score. And I think you could probably even improve that a little bit. I did use an iPhone speaker in the running session, which probably nudges that up maybe a half or another point. So that is a very good score for TTS sound, and I think it's one of the best TTS modules you can buy. Extras and variants are 7 out of 10. It misses things like cab lighting, doesn't have a driver, for example, and there's other levels of degree of detail that could be added as extras, which doesn't appear here. So that's why it's a 7. It's not a bad score. It's just what it is for this level of model. The build quality is very good, so I don't have any particular issues with that. I do have an issue with the packaging, as I mentioned. This is a very heavy locomotive, and the packaging is not sufficient for a 636 gram locomotive. It needs to be something much more similar to what you get from, say, Dapol, for example. But it's inadequate, and I am marking it down on the score as a result. So it's the packaging is reflected in this score. The overall quality of the model is fine. The packaging is my issue. Price value, I've taken this at £140 kind of average price, and I think it's a reasonable level of value, 7 out of 10 at that price. However, if you can acquire this at the $99.99 price, I think that's exceptional value, and that's a 10 out of 10 for value. So I think if you can get it at that price, you're getting a very nice model at an excellent price. So hopefully some of you can take advantage of that if you're interested in this locomotive. So overall, it's a 7.8 out of 10, which I think is a very good score, and I think this is pretty well similar to any of the other Class 67s. The livery really is the only thing that differs, and some people may have preferences for different liveries and might score those a little bit higher or lower depending on the livery. But I think 7.8 out of 10 is a very good score, and this is a very good performing locomotive. And obviously, if you get it at a good price, you'll be getting a bargain. So my recommendation, I think the 67 is one of the best Hornby diesels that you can get. It's probably a relatively new design, and I think it's a very good design from a performance perspective. And it continues that trend here in this particular model. And I think the sound module is also very good as well. So they make a very good combination at a very modest cost increment, I think, for sound. I think if you can pick it up at that 140 level or something less than that, I think it's a very good buy, and certainly highly recommend it. And the prices do vary, so I would recommend you do shop around for this. And if you can take advantage of the $99.99, then you're going to get a really nice locomotive for a bargain price. So it's highly recommended. It follows in the train of all the other Class 67s from Hornby. They're one of my favourites. I think this is probably doesn't seem to have sold so well. There seems to be a lot of them available, and people starting to discount them now. So it sounds like they didn't really sell that well, this particular livery. I don't know why. It's a nice livery, and it's a very nice locomotive, and I think it's definitely worth considering. Okay, so highly recommended if you're looking for something like in this area and it would fit in with the time frame that you're modelling, then definitely worth consideration. I would be interested in getting your feedback as well, so if you do have one of these models, please give your feedback in the comments. Have you had any trouble with them? What sort of experience have you had with them? Please give some feedback, that would be great. So that's for review for today. I hope to see you on review in the very near future. A number of other reviews lined up for the next couple of weeks that I want to get it up for Christmas, so hopefully we'll see you one or two of those, and in the meantime, happy modelling.